What's up, guys? Welcome to Superwise. I'm John. We have some exciting news to talk about today because Chronicle 2, a sequel to the 2012 film, is currently in the works. Now, when it comes to the first film, I haven't talked about it on this channel, but I love Chronicle. That film is awesome. It's a really, really good film. The found footage aspect is utilized very cleverly, and just the plot in general. I really like how these three teenagers get superpowers from a mysterious source. We don't know where this source originated from. I like how it's ambiguous. And these teenagers have fun with their powers, but things take a turn for the worse. Things get darker, and Andrew Detmer, played by Dane DeHaan, becomes a supervillain, and just everything is chaos. It's a really good movie. One I rewatch a lot because it starts out fun and then it gets darker. It's really good, and this film was the first Michael B. Jordan performance I saw. This film introduced me to Michael B. Jordan, and yeah, I mean, he's really good in this movie, and he's one of my favorite actors working today. And for the longest time, I've wanted a sequel. Now, let's talk about this sequel, because there are details about this sequel, and it's definitely not the plot I would have imagined, but we're going to talk about my thoughts after we read this. This comes from producer John Davis, and this is not a direct quote. There is a direct quote out there that you can read, but this is a quick summary, an overview of what he said. So, John Davis said that Chronicle 2 is set up at 20th Century Studios and will revolve around a cast of female characters. The movie will pick up 10 years after the events of the first film and will focus on the topic of fake news, real news, and cover-ups. These new female characters will be straight out of college when they discover their powers, and not all of them will be as altruistic as someone like Spider-Man or Miss Marvel. So those are the details. It's just nice to know that Chronicle 2 is potentially happening after all this time. You know, if there wasn't a sequel in development and we just had the first film, I would have been fine with it, because I think the ending wrapped up nicely, ambiguously. My idea for Chronicle 2 would have been having Matt continue his journey and finding answers, finding the truth on how he got these powers and what happened to him and his friends. Maybe in the beginning of the film, 10 years later, he still has no answers, and as the movie goes along, have him discover, the truth and have this bigger perspective on everything. That was my idea for a sequel, the obvious sequel idea, right? But now we're switching perspectives to these three female characters, and I think switching perspective is interesting, having these new characters have their own outlook on what happened and what we know from the first film. I think that could be interesting. The backdrop of fake news, real news, cover-up, that's all very interesting. It's a cool backdrop, relevant backdrop, and when it comes to the new female characters, just write them well, write them likable. Don't make them these feminist icons right out of college. I don't want, pandering BS. Just have them written well, because, in the first film you had three likable teenagers that you could root for, that you can understand where they're coming from. You got to do it with these new female characters. My sequel idea, I would have preferred that, but, having a new outlook, new perspective, that could be cool, and I'm just happy we're getting a continuation of this universe. I want to see what's happening 10 years later. Is Matt from the first film going to cameo in this film? Or are we going to get answers? Is Josh Trank returning? Is this going to be another found footage film? I have questions, but I'm just excited that we're getting a continuation of this universe. I'm happy that Chronicle 2 is it's happening. So, hopefully it moves forward and we get this film, because, I'm very interested in the premise. It just has to be executed well. It really does. So those are my thoughts on Chronicle 2. We're getting it, which is crazy, 10 years later. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you excited for Chronicle 2? Have you even seen the first film? If you haven't, I highly, highly recommend It's a fun time in the beginning, and then it just gets darker and creepier, and yeah, it's a damn good movie that you should definitely check out. So please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That'll be all for me. And remember my catchphrase, guys. Stay super wise.